Hi guys. So it's been almost a week since my first Ironman 70.3 triathlon, first ever triathlon. I thought it would be cool to just do a recap of my experience during the race and take you guys through what I was feeling and what was going through my head. So let's dive in. Race day morning, woke up at 4 a.m. Surprisingly slept 6.5 hours, which I was more than pleased with. Had breakfast around 4:30 and we got on road to transition. I think I got there around 5:30, 5:20 in the morning. Just filled with adrenaline, nerves, butterflies, all the things. Man, transition, getting there in the morning, the atmosphere, I can't even explain, like the vibes, the energy. It was just like, it was a beautiful experience. I was just so nervous, but like good nerves. So yeah, headed to transition, set up my station, everything I needed for my bike on the right side, everything for my run on the left, and then everything else was what I needed for my swim. Luckily my coach was there. Thank you. He was like the calm of my storm because I just had so much adrenaline but nerves, and it was just like a sea of, I don't even know, chaos, I guess. And so just seeing him help calm me down. Team warm up around 6 a.m. warmed up for like probably 20 minutes, and then by 6:30 it was time to line up for the swim, right as the pros were going off, which was really cool to see. I went in the 40-minute group, 45 minutes in line until my prospective group was able to get in the ocean. So just spent that time doing my best to stay calm, keep my heart rate low, but also stay warm. The water temp was, I think, 63 degrees, which I was also more than pleased with. So I got into water around 7:15, and looking back on my stats, my heart rate for the first like minute of being in the ocean was 190. So obviously nerves were high. I just kept telling myself to breathe, and then like eventually you'll find your flow. The swim was a lot of bit chaotic. There's people hitting you, kicking you left and right. There's just so many people. Ironman releases 5 people every 5 seconds. So I mean, it's bound to happen. There's just people everywhere trying to do the same thing as you are. So you mentally just kind of have to be like, all right, it is what it is. I'm gonna take a couple hits to the face, a couple feet to the face, and keep it pushing. Another factor is my goggles kept fogging up. So I really, honestly, I couldn't see the entire swim. I barely could see. My goggles were so foggy. I also chose mirrored goggles, which it ended up being overcast. So, it is what it is. These are all things that, you can't harp on, and you just gotta keep going. But yeah, I couldn't see. Every time I was just praying that was a buoy. The buoys heading in were yellow, and then every turn buoy was red, and then the ones coming back were orange. So every time I saw a color, I was just like, okay, that has to be a buoy, and I mean, just keep heading towards the buoys. That's just what I kept telling myself. Like, I can't even explain like the feeling of like being in the open water, not being able to see, you're getting kicked like left and right. It was a battle zone. It was like a war zone. So honestly, I had fun, but it's a different beast. It's a 1.2 mile swim. I did it in 49 minutes. With all the factors included, I'm pretty proud of my time and definitely learned a lot. So when I came out of the swim, I was like so dizzy. I think just from going from sea to land again, I think my body was just like, what is going on? So basically, my entire run back to my transition, I felt, for lack of a better term, like drunk. I mean, I pretty much had vertigo, I think. And I was just like, hold on, girl, like it's gonna go away soon. There is an area where I think they call them rippers, I call them strippers, but it's basically where there's volunteers that will help you like rip off your wetsuit. I chose not to just forego that station and just take it off myself. My wetsuit was already kind of like a little bit oversized, so I didn't really have any issues taking my wetsuit off. I get to transition and I'm still dizzy, but I'm like, girl, just get on the bike. Once you get on the bike, you're gonna feel good. I just kept repeating that to myself because I knew that heading into the bike that it was going to be my strongest discipline, which it was. So I just was like, girl, just get on the bike and you'll feel better. So the bike I knew was going to be my strongest discipline. It's the one I put the most time into, the one that I have the most fun in overall. So the bike course was 56 miles with just over, I think, 2,700 feet elevation through Camp Pendleton, which was beautiful. I had so much fun in the bike. I would say like the first half of the course was relatively flat. There were some rolling hills, but for the most part, I stayed in TT position for like the first 25 miles. I was actually considering a few months before my race getting a TT bike. I'm happy that I stuck with my road bike. I just ended up adding TT bars, and shout out Hitch, spiced up the Cannondale a little bit, which was really cool, and it turned out to be really good for this course. And then if you know, the big hill, mile 29 is when the steep climbs came. Super fun, honestly. I love climbing, and I'm strong there, so I had no issues. There were a lot of people walking their bikes up some of the climbs. I thought the road conditions were not that bad. A lot of people were saying they were like awful. I mean, I feel like the areas that were rough, they were well marked, so you had time to like prepare. There were a few no pass zones, which was kind of hard for me, but I mean, you have to follow the rules. So basically you had to be single file and you can't pass people in that time. So I just made sure to, in those zones, to just focus on my nutrition, which I'll get into. There were a lot of flats, which was hard for me kind of to see. I just felt like my heart broke for them. Luckily I had no mechanicals. My bike was well behaved, and we got through it with no bumps or bruises, but I passed a lot of people with flats, There are volunteers that go around to like help you fix a flat if that is the case, if you need help with some like any mechanicals, but there was just so many people that had flats that your wait time could be, I think, up to like an hour and a half. So again, luckily I had no issues there, but my heart broke for those people. Overall, bike I had so much fun, and I'm really happy with my time. So nutrition, absolutely the fourth discipline of triathlon, can make or break your race. I worked a lot prior to my race. Shout out Jamin, my nutritionist. We practiced race day nutrition time and time again. Heading into the race, I felt really good about my nutrition overall and just what it was gonna take to get through. On my bike, I had 2 bottles. I had a bottle, which, pro tip from my coach, we put all of my gels for the race in one bottle, and I just diluted that with water. And then my other bottle, I had my precision hydration, which was my electrolytes and my carbs, pretty much down to a science, had my nutrition and the timing of it all. I was pretty much taking sips every 5 minutes throughout the entire race. I can't harp on how important nutrition was for that race, and you basically use your entire bike to fuel for your run. I felt really good about my nutrition and how I handled that. I did start to cramp towards the end of the bike. I think I had like 2 miles left, and I could kind of tell that my quads were starting to cramp up. Tried to run in my cleats back to transition, was in a lot of pain. The cramps were just not going away. Once I got to transition, I was like, all right, we just need to make it to the first aid station. I just kept repeating that to myself. I had no water. Rookie mistake. I had nothing at transition that I could like take. I was all out from my bike, and like, girl, you just gotta go. Like, you just gotta go. So I start my run. I'm in pain. Both my quads are just super tight. I had no option, so I pushed through. I was like, just make it to that first aid station. Pretty much that entire first mile I had cramps, and both my quads were just cramping up pretty bad. mentally I just had to have faith that it wasn't gonna last, but at the same time I was like, this could be how my entire run goes and I might be in pain the entire time. So I wasn't gonna let that stop me. I don't even know what the word quit means. So finally, after mile 1, which was the first aid station, I just finally got some water, got some carbs and electrolytes, and eventually my cramps went away. Once the cramps went away, I felt okay. That first like 3-4 miles, like in a rhythm, I was like, all right, I feel pretty good. And then pain cave arrives. Man, from mile 4 on, it was just a mental battle. The run was undoubtedly the hardest part of the race for me mentally, and also the most rewarding. The whole course ended up being 2 laps. There were a lot of hills. I wouldn't say hills, but like, yeah, there were a lot of hills. Pretty much just in the pain cave the entire time of the run. So a lot of talks with myself, a lot of get to that next mile, just focus on 1 mile at a time, 1 foot in front of the other, and you know, eventually got through it. I can't even put into words the feeling of crossing that finish line. I'm getting emotional even like thinking about it, but yeah, it was single-handedly the best feeling I've ever had in my entire life. And seeing my mom and dad and my best friends at the finish line was one of the greatest feelings, one of the greatest moments of my life. And to be able to hug my mom and dad at the finish line was something I'm beyond grateful for, and I feel just so blessed to have them experience this race with me. Overall, I had an incredible experience. My first Ironman, definitely not my last. I don't know what's next for me in terms of my next race, but just know there will be something. I feel like this is just the beginning for me, and yeah, I'm excited to get stronger, excited to continue to train and see what else I'm capable of. Next race to be determined.